All right, wanted to go over some movie theater protocol, um, just some basic rules or some guidelines when you go to the movie theaters. As you know, I love going to the movies. I love seeing movies on the big screen. I think it's one of those lost arts. You really don't get the full feel of the movie if you watch it on a TV at home, unless you have one of those really cool, expensive in-home movie theaters, which I do not. But I just think the atmosphere of a movie theater itself brings things to life. So since I go to a lot, I just wanted to go over some things that I see and people should follow as well. First big one is plan your arrival time. If it's a 7 o'clock showing, try to get there 10 minutes beforehand, 15 minutes beforehand. That's if you go to a non-busy theater or a really huge premiere movie. Um, but if you go to, if you live in the city, where they have a bunch of different showings, or, they have 20, 30 movies starting at the same time, you might actually want to get there half an hour beforehand, um, to allow yourself to get through the line, go to the restroom, get your food if you're going to get food, and actually find a seat once they allow, people to be seated in that movie theater. Be patient with it. If it's a busy movie theater and you're running behind, hey, it's one of those things you should have planned for a little bit better beforehand. There's really nothing you can do about that. Now, I understand sometimes things happen where you do run a little bit late, but luckily movies typically now have 5 to 10 minutes of previews before the actual feature film starts. But I wouldn't use that as your norm. So if like a movie starts says it starts at 7, don't try to get there at 7:05, 7:10, and interrupt the other people that are actually sitting down and comfortable, just in case it is a busy movie. With that being said, again, plan for your wait time in line. Again, I go to a movie theater that's usually not busy. Usually go to the 9 o'clock showing, so there's hardly ever anybody at the 9 o'clock showings. So I can pretty much just walk up 5 minutes beforehand, get my ticket, go to the restroom, and head in even before the preview start within that 5 minute time frame. Because it is a smaller theater. But again, plan ahead for the line. And I always tell people, go to the restroom before the movie starts. Don't be going in the middle of the movie, the beginning of the movie, or the end of the movie. You're going to miss something that could play a key role in your enjoyment of the movie. Plus, you ruin the ambiance of the movie itself for everybody else in the theater, because they're going to see you get up and leave, and then they're going to see you come and get in, and it's going to take away from their viewing pleasure once you're locked into the movie and enjoying it. And same with food. Get your food before the movie starts. Don't be going 10 minutes into the movie to get your food, be like, oh, I decided I need a drink or some snacks. Get it beforehand. Again, plan your time accordingly. So, with those two things, the bathroom and your food, then once you get in, some theaters, I would say typically theaters allow you to come in 20, 30 minutes at the most. Most it's, I would say 20 minutes, at least in my area, before the movie actually starts. So take that into consideration, because they have to clean up after other movies. So once you're allowed in, get your seat. And if you must go get food or go to the restroom before the previews start, make sure you save it with a coat, jacket, hat, or something like that, so somebody doesn't take it and you have a confrontation when you come back in. So when choosing a seat, I mean, a lot of people like the middle or the very top. Me personally, at least the theaters that I go to, depending on the situation, really has no bad seats. Because it's not really like a big auditorium, maybe like 100, 150 people at the most. So I get lucky. But if there's only a handful of people in the movie theaters, or if it's not really a big premiere movie, don't be sitting right next to somebody that you don't know. Space accordingly. I had this incident the other day. In fact, there was seven total people in the theater, and I was actually in one of the bigger auditoriums of like 150 to 200 people. I think it sits 200. This big one sits like 200 people. There were seven people. There was three people in there when I got there, up top. So I sat sort of in the middle, off to the side a little bit. Um, and then three more people came in and sat down directly in front of me. And I was like, are you kidding me? So that's what I'm talking about. Uh, Try to sit away from other people. Like, then you can't stretch out. I even had my legs on the seat in front of me and they just sat and made me move my feet. I'm just like, are you kidding me? But that's just one instance of being rude and just picking your seat in accordance with um, the amount of people in the theater. Now, once it gets busy, I understand that you're going to have people closer to you, in front of you, behind you, whatnot. But generally speaking, space yourselves out. Um, so if you would cough or sneeze, you're not sneezing on somebody or coughing towards somebody else or, dropping food or whatever onto somebody else. Another big thing that I've been seeing more and more recently, um, over the last couple years, is people not turning their cell phones off. I know we live in a busy world where we want to be connected 24/7. Um, and people, maybe they want to check the time, halfway into the movie, but it takes away from the ambiance of the movie again because the screen um, light lights up the theater a little bit when it's dark. And then no matter where you're sitting, everybody in that theater is like behind you is going to pick up on that light and their eyes are going to go away from the movie on your cell phone. So please shut your cell phone off. At the very least, have it on silent or airplane mode. So that way, once the movie's over, you can just hit that airplane mode and get the messages that you missed. I mean, do you really need to be connected 24/7? And do you really need that 2 hour window of a movie that you just can't go without your phone? If you do, stay at home, watch movies at your house, and don't come to the theater. There's nothing worse than being in the middle of a movie when some big action scene's going on and somebody's phone rings or vibrates or their screen lights up and takes away from the movie. Because I even asked other people, it's not just me. I could be on the other side of the movie theater and somebody on the other side, they look at their screen and that light just, your eyes, no matter what, catch it. Um, so please make sure you silence your cell phone, even dim the screen if anything, and flip it on screen side down or put it in your pocket or purse, which is where it should be. Um, so yeah. And once you get in the movie theater and like the previews start, sit once and remain seated. Don't be going to get more food or go to the restroom. You should have got that stuff done beforehand. Um, yeah, because again, it just takes away. Once you start moving into movie theaters, standing up, everybody's going to notice it and take their concentration away from the movie. Don't tell me it doesn't happen. It happens to everybody. So be an adult, stay seated, um, and get your bathroom and your food done beforehand. Now, I understand if you're taking kids to a movie, this is a little bit different, but I'm just more focusing on adults right now. Um, Whereas an adult, you should be able to control yourself for 2 hours and not need food or have to go to the bathroom. Be an adult and take care of it um, beforehand. Then you don't want to be talking during the movie, communicating or whatever. Um, that's not to say don't laugh or gasp or anything like that. Like say if it's a scary part of the movie, don't go, oh, back, or don't laugh if there's a joke or something like that. Um, just try not to make any like side comments, or don't laugh completely hysterical like a jackal or hyena. Um, just try to keep it to a minimum because movies are enjoyable, and once you go to the theater, that's part of the theater experiences. Everybody laughing at a joke, um, or gasping at some scene, or like, we'll say when Spider-Man, No Way Home, when one of the other older Spider-Mans comes out, everybody's like, oh, or they clap or something like that. That stuff's fine, but it's like having a conversation um, with the person next to you that's the issue. Even making a comment to like somebody like your date or whatever beside you, be like, I think the butler did it, or I think it's that person. That's fine if it's like a whisper, but when you're having a full conversation and you're talking on your phone, that's where um, the line gets drawn, and then people in the theater get um, angry as well. You don't want confrontations, and you don't want to ruin the experience for everybody else because you're being rude. Um, and also, stay to the end of the film. Sometimes in the past, I've seen people leave in the middle of the movie and never come back. Um, Not, I understand if there's like an emergency or something like that, or they do have to leave, but try to stay to the end of the film. And if it's like a Marvel movie where there's some end credits or mid-credit scenes, don't disturb people trying to stay and watch them. I understand when the credits rolling, a lot of movies don't have end credits or mid credits, so people leave. That's fine, but stay to the end of the movie. And again, you don't want to disrupt anybody in the ambiance on the movie setting itself. Um, don't go to the movie theaters, plan on making out or having coitus or anything like that. Keep that to yourself and leave it. Um, those things for like private locations and not in a public in a movie theater. Now, if you go put your arm around somebody or hold hands, that's one thing, or put your head on somebody's shoulder, that's fine. But when you start making out or doing other sexual things, that's to be left for somewhere else. Um, and no running up and down the stairs. As I said, be seated, stay seated. There's a few times where some teenagers and stuff just constantly go up and down the stairs, in and out of the room, and it just ruined the movie for everybody else um, because they were such a big distraction. And then, somebody would have to go out and tell the theater workers so that they'd have to come in and straighten the people out, and it just ruins things. Also, no throwing things at other people, um, try to make no noise at all if possible, but sit back and enjoy the movie and take in the surround sounds, the ambiance, and seeing things on the big screen. It really brings everything together. I'm trying to think what else happens. Yeah, no kicking the chairs in front of you or shaking your feet. Sometimes when you set, a couple chairs away from somebody and they might be the row behind you, they're moving their feet back and forth on the back of the chair. Um, you do feel that the whole row because the whole rows are connected usually. So don't be doing that or kicking the seats or anything like that, or putting pressure. If there is somebody sitting in front of you, um, don't be pushing your legs up against theirs because they do feel the pressure um, behind. And a lot of this stuff is common sense, but I know not everybody goes to the movies as much as I do. Like I go probably, I don't know, a dozen times between we'll say between 10 and 20 times a year. So I see a lot of different things happen where people who go once or twice might not. Um, Now for kids and stuff like that, kids movies, generally speaking, you should be taking them to earlier movies so they're done by like the 7 o'clock time frames that where adults usually come in, or the 9 o'clocks. But most of those movies are G movies, so adults really aren't going to be going to them, and not a lot of them play at 7 or 9 o'clock. Those are more for like the PG-13s and R-rated movies, um, where kids shouldn't really be in there in general. Um, and the same rules apply for kids. Um, the younger generation, like the kids and stuff like that, the earlier movies, some of these rules don't apply as much because kids are squirmish and they make noise, and they do have to, go to the bathroom because they don't realize they're going to have to and they can't hold it. But if you're going to bring kids to the adult time frames, we'll say like the sevens, the nines, or anything later than that, we'll just say from like 7 o'clock on, just make sure they're well behaved and they follow the rest of the rules, like staying seated and getting their food beforehand, and not yelling or screaming or throwing a fit that they want to leave or anything like that. Because again, it just ruins the movie for everybody else. Um, and when you're eating food, try to eat quietly. I know popcorn is not the most quiet food that there is. Um, and even opening up some of those candy boxes can be really excessive noise wise, but try to open them up before the movie starts, um, and get them ready for your consumption beforehand, and not trying to undo one of those cellophane wrappers, in the middle of the movie during that. Again, I'm going to use an action scene or a critical part in the movie, where everybody's trying to really pay attention and they're locked into what's going on, or, you don't want to miss a key plot line. Um, Trying to think if there's anything else I really want to touch on, but I've been wanting to say this stuff for a while now. Because I really do think going to the movies um, is one of those pastimes that's really taken a hit over the years. Because it is really fun just seeing and enjoying the movie. And I think a lot of movies actually are better in theaters than they are at home. And I personally think that most action or CGI and stuff like that, those type of movies are best seen in theater, because you get the full spectrum of what's really happening. You might miss a few plot points because sometimes movies take two or three times to watch, even at home, to get everything that's going on. Because when they circle back to stuff, but that happens. But make sure also you check the ratings. Don't be bringing, a 6-year-old to an R-rated or NR type movie. Um, Make sure they're age appropriate, even though they might be into that. It might be like, we'll say, like a Marvel or Star Wars movie that has like I don't know if Marvel really has any R-rated, but whatever. You don't want to be bringing a kid there that's going to be screaming and yelling and be like, "Mommy, Daddy, what's happening?" You know, um, in the middle of the movie. Uh, but other than that, I guess that's it. And I encourage people to go to movies when you can. Um, Again, just be on time, go to the bathroom beforehand, get your food beforehand, get your food ready for your consumption. Uh, don't be talking during the movie. Make sure you turn your cell phone off. Stay seated. Um, Stay for the whole movie. Um, no affection going on, like past, hand holding, stuff like that. And you'll have a good time. Um, and I still think movies are a great way to go on dates and just have a nice night out, uh, away from the kids, or just enjoy yourself in general. So yes, hope to see you guys in a movie soon. Oh, wait, pick your seat wisely. Just remember to pick your seat wisely and don't sit on top of somebody else if the theaters aren't going to get packed. Because that really is a big pet peeve of mine.